Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is on what you should be doing in year 10 summer, so going into year 11 if you want to get all 9s in your GCSEs. I remember during year 10 summer I didn't do much for the beginning and stuff. I was kind of just chilling and I was on holiday, but these are the kind of things I did towards the end, maybe mid-August to September. That kind of helped. Like me, I know some of you were probably freaking out right now. I remember when I was in year 10, I was like, oh my god, I don't know how much to do. Some people were telling me you have to revise loads of the summer. Others were like, oh, just chill, year 11's a stressful year, don't do anything this summer. So I, like you at this point in time, was kind of unsure, should I be doing lots, should I not do much? So yeah, I've kind of made this video to talk through what I actually did and things that I actually found useful, so you guys are not really left in the same situation. Disclaimer, you do not have to follow everything that I say. These are just things I did that helped me get my grades. But at the same time, do what suits you best, because obviously everyone is different, and yeah, different tips will suit different people. So first of all, take a break. Genuinely, you have to rest before year 11, because I would say I guess the first term is fine, but after that it gets really intense, especially during mock period in January and February. Just take some time for yourself. Unwind after your year 10 mocks, go out with your friends, maybe go on a holiday, just chill, watch Netflix, stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of decompress from that, because year 11 will be really, really hectic. Not to scare you guys, but it's good to have a rest now. In terms of organization, if you hadn't had an organizational system in year 10, definitely get one for year 11. It's literally going to save your life. So literally what I would suggest is, at home, have if you're doing 10 subjects, for example, do 10 different big folders for each subject with a file divider, and then you can just put all your notes for different topics within that. And then I'd also have a day folder that you take to school, and then that way you can just put sheets and stuff your teachers give you. And I'd also definitely get a whiteboard. This, I've talked about this in my other videos, whiteboard was the one thing that I used to blur, and it was literally amazing. It probably saved my grade for stuff like English, because it just means you can write down all the analysis, all the little annotations, to keep doing it over and over, blurting it, and yeah, it just makes your life so much easier. For English, depending on where you're at, if you have coursework or whatever, if you haven't finished reading the book you're meant to read in class, I would personally read the book yourself just during the summer as a nice read, just because it makes sure you know what's going on and you're kind of ahead in terms of plot and characters, and it's just really helpful in September, because you might not have time to finish the book on your own. So you've got time now over the summer, so I would just suggest read the book. In the subjects in your year 10 mocks that didn't really go so well for you, I would make a note of all the topics within those subjects that were the main problem areas for you. So for example, in maths, if you found completing the square was one of the places you lost your most marks on, I would make a note of that, and then use YouTube channels and use textbooks and stuff like that, and do practice questions to make sure you really understand that topic. If you had year 10 mocks, you'll probably get more of an indication about where you're standing right now. But I'm actually just genuinely here to tell you that the stuff you got in your year 10 mocks is probably not going to be the same you get in your real thing. Say you got a 6 in maths in your year 10 mocks. I can tell you so many people I know that went from a 6 to a 9, or even a 5 to a 9 in any subject. So don't be too disheartened if you haven't really got the grades you wanted. There's always time to improve. Okay, so one thing that I did for sciences especially was note making. And I'm not talking about class note making, I'm talking about my own notes that I made from PMT, YouTube and other resources. I kind of collated them all and then just made some notes on them. So for example, I did this for biology, and I did it for chemistry as well, because it was kind of the two sciences that I struggled with most in terms of content. I made notes on them over the summer, and don't worry about aestheticness and whatever, just make sure you get the information down for each topic, and then when it comes to exam season and stuff, later in year 11, it'll be so much easier to revise from. But I will say it can be kind of time consuming. But if you have time, I would suggest doing that. But if you don't, don't worry about it. You can get online notes from PMT, for example, and then just max out on past papers. If you want to be super extra and ambitious, which is perfectly fine, maybe you can look ahead at the year 11 content you're going to do that you haven't covered yet. For example, let's say you haven't done a topic in physics, you can kind of look over it yourself, maybe using YouTube and PMT and stuff, and just kind of familiarize yourself with year 11. It's not too much more difficult, I'd say, but it's like a little bit more content you need to learn. And if you want to, you can start doing past papers. Personally, I wouldn't suggest that too much right now, just because I feel like year 10 is kind of more for making sure you know the content and everything, and then year 11 is kind of more past papers, practice questions, whatever. But if you want to and you're feeling confident in some subjects, I would definitely suggest like maybe start doing some practice questions first, and then if you feel more confident, go on to past papers. Guys, I'm trying to think of what else I did. I think that was basically it. Like, honestly, you don't have to exert yourself. You don't have to do too much, because like year 10 summer, you should be relaxing, but also make sure you're setting yourself up well for year 11. If you're worried about year 11, like I literally remember on my last day of the summer holidays in year 10, I was literally crying. I was like, I don't want to go into year 11. But like, I promise you, it's really not that bad. But also make sure like the subjects that you've done well on, for example, like you have to make sure you don't kind of forget those, because obviously when you're in exam season, you're going to revise them and you're probably going to score well. But like maybe over the summer, in September, October of year 11, like you kind of might forget stuff from the past. So just make sure like for every single subject in year 10 that you did, make sure like you're kind of at least skimming over it, making sure you understand what's going on, because year 11, like you probably won't have that much time to go over like old stuff you did. So yeah, just read over it, make sure it all makes sense. If you haven't already looked at your specification, please print this out, or at least like look over it and make sure you understand what's going on. If you don't know what a specification is, it's basically like the document from your official exam board, and it tells you all the different topics and all the different things that they could possibly ask in an exam. So literally all you have to do, for example, let's say you're doing biology edX for GCSE, you literally type into Google biology edX specification GCSE, and then it'd come up with like a PDF of like, it's quite a few pages, and then you can just scroll through all the topics, and yeah, make sure you look at that, make sure you're like familiar with it and see how many topics you have, what's paper 1, what's paper 2, and just see what you've done so far as well. Year 10 is a really content heavy year, so I'm sure you've probably done a lot of it already, but like just make sure you're up to date on everything. And like within topics, teachers might sometimes miss a spec point. It's not their fault, it's just like if you're teaching so many kids in a short amount of time, it's easy to skim over stuff. So make sure you go through each and every spec point for stuff you've already done, and just ensure you know like what's going on. That's when the note thing also comes in handy. Like you can see different like spec points that maybe you haven't covered in depth and maybe you don't really understand that much. You can make notes on them in like a notebook. So yeah, like in general, for all the subjects and topics that you found difficult, maybe you haven't understood them, or like maybe you missed a lesson in class and you didn't catch up, just make sure you're up to date on everything. And if you don't make notes for those, that's fine. Just make sure you at least understand what's going on, because later on when you do past papers, it will just help it solidify so much. That was it, guys. Sorry I've not been posting much. I've been like super busy with like year 12 stuff. I'm gonna start posting more, I promise. And yeah, good luck for all of you in year 10 right now, or going into year 11. And yeah, don't stress, you'll be amazing.